but think, okay? In the game, you need to think, but don't overthink, okay?
Guys, just think, but not think a lot.
Oh, but the dive is coming in from GAM. The bullet time over the top of the slicing Maelstrom. They're going to find 2 more kills.
Let's not talk anything, just let us.
Yes.
It's fine, okay? We know how to play.
GAM has found their angle. Supa with a Feather Storm finds a nice opportunity. If only they weren't so far behind. And GAM should be able to win the game right here.
Guys, maybe think a little bit more.
Dude, that is the best comms listening that we've had in a while.
And then in the middle, we know how to play. And then, oh, the editor did him dirty. But it was easy to praise GAM in that video or in general because even though it was close for a very, very long time, it's one of those where I'm always on the fence because I will say, you know, we have a lot to talk about. Let's start with the Yone.
What's the fence?
It's because I know what I'm jumping forward on things you want to talk about. So let's start with the Yone update.
Yeah, please, because Yone was given over again. We knew it was going to be a big discussion topic no matter what. But this is getting to just crazy levels. 18-3.
It's crazy. Like, just the fact. So, we were trying to figure out why it's been let through so often. And I had a theory that Rumble, Ziggs, Aurora were really pivotal to pair with Yone because they're safe APs, and Kennen would be a step below, and maybe that makes it less good. Nah, still good.
Oh, still great.
Good. Also, last game, it was definitely the reason MDK won. This game,
Levi was the reason that they won.
It really wasn't. It didn't feel like it was about the Yone.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Levi got a lot of very early kills, which allowed him to snowball. But whenever we're watching this team, you're always looking at Levi and Kiaya. And you mentioned the Kennen being the big AP part of any sort of, you know, Yone composition.
This is really cool, though. We didn't know what they were doing, just hitting the minions until he hit level 6 and almost turned it around.
Yeah, he told Elio,
Elio was just spamming his...
help me hit the minion so I can get level 6. And from that point, like, really, really nice snowball from them. Of course, there were some that were not on point. Some of the plays towards mid game, but some really, really big ones for them. Plus, the more standard setup also benefited them. I feel like you have to do something along the lines of lane swaps and stuff to really put both Levi and Kiaya behind early on. Anything you can do to put those two behind is going to increase your chances.
Behind, and not let him get to like, oh, was it 5 or 6-0 so quickly into the game. Also, when you talk about kind of the later game, it feels like you said, okay, Mad's probably just outscaled, but they had no way to really win the fights anymore despite having an Omega fed Ahri, chat.
Yeah, Fresskowy, I think, had a good start to the game, but I'll also say they were very much a one-shot team where they would have the Vi Ahri with the Rumble, so it's pretty easy to itemize a little bit bruisery against them, and once you don't have the threshold to burst someone, you're kind of out of options.
You are. It got a bit nervy. We have one replay that we wanted to show you. This is not to like dunk on anyone in particular. I will say that MDK was getting picked off a lot, trying to make up territory.
Yeah, this is the mid lane fight, I believe, right?
Yeah,
as well?
it's going to continue
so
for a while.
So MDK gets picked off, and this was more, so we're not pulling this to dunk on the teams, we're more pulling this to say, like, it's absolutely an elimination game, and you're trying to fly in and make all these big plays, and sometimes you're going to look absolutely foolish. And this is not the type of play that GAM would have made at any point this year, honestly, until this moment where they're up against elimination point. But they were able to recover after that and still continue to pull the trigger, which to me actually shows a really high level of mental fortitude. And this is interesting
This is Fresskowy getting on there first. I bet he's writing in chat like, you know, I was fed, my team did nothing. No, I'm kidding. Like, you know, when someone's in solo queue, that's what I mean. You know, when they're super fed. When they're super fed. But that was not the case, I think, in general. Okay, so now we're looking at a game 3, and we came out of game 1 thinking, okay, this is looking quite comfortable for Mad Lions Koi. They have everything figured out. Are we gonna give them the same advice that we gave to GAM in terms of the Yone going forward, or are there more structural problems going on here that they have to address right now?
Yeah, I think the two biggest problems are that they have to do something about Levi and Kiaya, because these two players, regardless of draft, regardless of setup, are always such big threats on GAM, and you have to do something to neutralize that. You just saw them getting onto stage. The stark difference between MDK and GAM. GAM's getting up there all smiling. They're on a roll now. They're the ones coming off the win. I think GAM have the momentum now, and you're going to have to do something starting in draft, but continuing in game and in execution to put a stop to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It goes to show who the pressure's on. The pressure is so much more on MDK, and they're the ones that need to calm themselves down. And it's so much about like the expectations that you put on yourself and how you deal with those expectations. It's honestly so much of the struggle from from an LCS perspective, that's the struggle I see LCS teams have all the time. And I feel like MDK is kind of in a similar situation here.
Absolutely, and I think for the side of VCS, we already talked about kind of the maybe possibly the last huzzah for the VCS in this form at Worlds. And Levi just stepping onto that rift and pulling off the shirt like Superman, saying, fine, I'll do it myself. And I think that is so poetic when you look at, you know, everything we've praised GAM and the VCS for throughout the years. Levi has been such a big part of it. So I think it is incredibly fitting that also on the other side we have Elyoya, who they're going to have to come to depend on, and to see. We believe.
Make them believe.
We believe.
Only one more. Either team here looking at this one.
That's a best of 3 for you.
So much comes down to it.
Absolutely. The tension of this series definitely reaches its peak. We're so far away from the conclusion at the start of this series, but right now we're so close.
Let me do the tossing. I'm the professional. All right, it's all on the line here for the VCS and the LEC. And yeah, who is it going to be? Let's head over to our casters.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's time for the third and final game in this series between MDK and GAM. For one of the two, it will be their last game played at Worlds 2024. Game number 1 was a stomp. MDK looked clean. Game number 2 was also League of Legends. We got to see a lot of punches thrown every which way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, game 2 was an all-out brawl, and it felt like GAM just were more confident in that game. They were the ones starting out the fights first, getting the advantage on those setups. As a result, we are into pick and ban. I need to know, is Yone going to be open here one more time?
All right, Champion Select, powered by Omen and HyperX. Show us a Yone ban for the first time this series. Please. Will it be here?
So some key ones are going to be up regardless. I mean, Rumble not banned, Ziggs not banned, Yone not banned, you know, so some big ones, and they're leaving it open again. It's going to be another first pick, pretty much guaranteed. And
they didn't even waste time. They didn't even waste time covering.
I mean, it's just so strong. It just kind of wins every single time, man. I think it's absolutely crazy. I don't think that the series has really been about the Yone, but I just think this champ is ridiculous. But there is Aurora available. That's another one of the OPs that hasn't really been banned out, so we'll see what GAM can get as far as the trade.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be the Vi more than likely here for Levi. Just a very strong pick that now that you already got that AP option could be taken away. But we've also seen things like the Maokai with this Aurora as well, because it just offers you so much lockdown. But yeah, I think the Vi, just even taking that away from Elyoya is so nice here.
I also just don't like Levi on Maokai compared to something that has more brawling potential, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather see this. Now that is a Levi champion. I brought it up earlier. The most famous GAM moment, the most famous Levi moment from all those years ago, the Nocturne performance.
Absolutely. I mean, they just want to play dive, right? You know, you're going to be looking with this Aurora to be able to set up pick. If you have more AoE champions, more dive champions piling in, the Aurora can begin the pick, the Nocturne can fly in. And I think back to the play-in stage where we saw some monster games from Kiaya on the Aurora. Their first series that they played back-to-back Aurora games, and he was smurfing with some of the strongest Aurora games we've actually seen at the event so far.
And we're going to have to see if Myrwn has an answer for it, because you imagine it is still going up towards that top side. Obviously can be flexed, we've seen in the mid lane, but yeah, Rumble could just be the answer.
Rumble as your first 3 is so strong. It's weaker in the lane, so he's going to go for the stronger 1v1 matchup with the Gnar. But still, I mean, Sejuani, Yone is such a strong 2v2 pairing that I feel like there's very little way GAM are going to be able to kind of find their way in a 2v2.
Well, we're going to get to see the opposite side of the previous game's matchup. I always enjoy when we get these types of things because it really does let a guy
show that he has mastery of the matchup, if you can play it both ways, if you can win it both ways. Last time around, even though they lost, Fresskowy ended up having a very impressive performance on the Ahri against the Yone.
He absolutely did, but we also have to remember it was Elyoya that set him up on the Vi with that early gank. That was where they got that first kill. He got him in behind, and it's that combo that I think is so powerful. So far in the first 3, there's 0 setup for that charm, right? You know, the Vi plus Ahri combo is so strong because it guarantees the CC and the full combo lands.
And that's why I'm wondering if there's going to be something like a Jhin here, just to try and get that slow setup for some of these plays to start happening. But I do agree, I think you're in a bit of an awkward spot here where you need something to follow up here for Elio to really get things started, especially with Rel already gone. I imagine something like the Leona or other big engage support taken off the board.
Exactly, that's what I'm expecting. Double engage ban from MDK. The Rel you already mentioned has come through first. GAM are going to ban out the Ashe first for themselves in this second half. Ezreal also going to continue to be banned away as one of those safe long-range AD carries.
And that's the thing, especially when you're trying to play dive with this Nocturne, having something that can peel for themselves is going to be a bit of a nightmare. Supa may just go back towards the Xayah in that regard, just to say, hey, look, I'm going to be safe. Open up for Alvaro to go towards the Rakan, and then you can still play for this heavy dive function with so many frontliners to provide that engage setup for the Rakan.
Yeah, it is interesting because there's not like super easy to kill champs over on the MDK side yet, and you're very front loaded in your damage over on the GAM team, right? Because of 3 burst champions on your top side, very low sustained DPS. You're gonna go Kalista, so they are really overloading, I feel like, on the early game here, and just depending on the fact that they're gonna be able to dominate lanes, create advantages, but MDK could just lane swap.
Well, I was going to say, do you also try and take away something like the Renata here? Potentially, like, just go, hey, look, we've already got enough dive in the top half of the map. We don't really need more, and maybe you just look for the takeaway, but not something I'd traditionally think of with the Kaisa, but could still work out very well in the, hey, I can just plonk that bailout on you as you shotgun yourself into the back line.
It is true, but at the same time, I don't think that there's enough melee champions to really warrant the Renata coming out, because it's like, yeah, there is a lot of dive, but it's Aurora, but it's Ahri, you know, champions that still have a little bit of range, that have quite a bit of mobility. So, you know, I don't think that it would be the best pick on their side. I actually feel like, if anything, Renata is definitely stronger for GAM, so it will be interesting to see if they do go that route, but then you are very low on setup. You have basically 0 hard engage, so I do think, knowing GAM's style, we're just going to get a hard engage champion. We're going to get like a Leona or an Alistar or something along those lines. Braum is honestly kind of shocking to me.
Yeah.
I think that I've seen some comps, so like if you look at Gen G and stuff where they've already operated with essentially what the GAM topside has been, which is, hey, I'm just going to play very heavily for a pick and poke style with this Aurora ult into the Nocturne ult, the follow-up from the Ahri as well. So I think even though you lack some engage, you can get a surprising amount done with these 3 champions on the top half of the map for GAM.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They have pretty good pick, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I just think that there's no really kind of point-and-click CC. There's no instant go button, I guess, besides just like throwing down an Aurora ult on someone. But when you're coming to later stages of the game, you know, it's not going to be that easy. I think just like walk up an Aurora ult someone, have that be the go button for the fight, because you're still going to have to walk past the Sejuani, walk past the Gnar, walk past the Nautilus, which is really a big concern for me. The Braum feels kind of very disjointed from what the rest of the draft wants to do, you know, unless they're just seeing it as like, okay, our 3 members on the top side are going to dive in the back line and kill off Supa, and then, you know, EasyLove and Elio are going to be kiting back and trying to win out a skirmish on the other side and kind of in that way. But yeah, I just think the draft is honestly not very strong.
Yeah, I think the huge amount of this relies on Kiaya finding those good ultimates, and you harken back to play-ins where he was very good at finding these flank opportunities to set up for these big ultimates that would catch key carries and avoid some of the tanks. But if you start to fall behind, this is a composition that just gets completely steamrolled, and it is difficult to operate. So GAM really need to come out the gate swinging.
And it's like, who are you diving on, right? For GAM, like GAM can only go for Supa. That's basically your only target, right? Like you have 1 target on the team, and it's a champion that can go invisible later in the game, can ult in away from your dive, you know, like it feels very, very difficult to pull off. So we'll see, you know, if GAM can make some magic happen here. I think MDK massively favored after the draft.
I agree, yeah. I think it's just a hope and pray for GAM that you can find those small windows of opportunities.
The draft strategy.
Yeah,
hope and pray.
All right, well, hey man.
Look, I'm trying to make it sound a bit better.
Right?
This is their tournament lives here. They need this to work.
That makes it sound worse. You didn't even give a real strategy. Like, well, I think
no, just take the shovel away from me. Take the shovel away.
Oh my God. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they can make it happen. I do think there is potential for them to definitely get prio in lanes, and maybe you can just get ahead and then nothing else matters. You definitely can erase compositional advantages with just better play or with large gold advantages. So we'll see.
But it's harder to get ahead in lanes with lane swaps being a thing, and you can see right here with Supa up in the top side, that's exactly what MDK are planning, as GAM are going to do a delayed invade, but they do it right over top of a ward, so MDK are going to have knowledge about this.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is really smart, honestly, from MDK. You just are setting yourself up for success. You're playing against the Kalista Braum. Nautilus can never engage in the early game into that kind of a lane, so you are going to be really on the back foot. And traditionally, Aurora is considered a pretty heavy lane bully in the early levels in a lot of these matchups. So you're denying the strength of two of the lanes here that GAM have picked. You have much better scaling. You have a much easier to execute composition. So MDK just kind of need to play it simple, play it slow.
Yeah, just going to start the slow push. They hovered on the wave for quite a while on top side. Didn't start it off immediately, waiting for EasyLove and Elio to appear on this bottom side of the map. So at least information is there for both sides. But you knew with Nautilus on the mid wave that this was already going to be a lane swap scenario anyway. It just means that Myrwn hasn't stacked up any of his rage, which is traditionally where we see this TP come through now with a Mega Gnar available from him.
Alvaro trying to make his way down to the tier 1 turret. Level 2, he's got the dredge line to make his way there a little bit faster. He is 1v4. He flashes forward to try to lock up Elio for the last turret shot, but it ain't gonna work. Levi's gonna take an extra little bit of damage here too. Myrwn arrives, but it's not worth a whole lot. He's still pretty low. He tries to jump back over. They tank the turret beautifully with Kiaya. GAM has 3 men at death's door, but it's MDK who lose 2.
And that's why I was so confused watching the MDK on top side, because they didn't start hitting the wave. Myrwn didn't start hitting the wave, and it meant that they've only now got that wave crashed. Myrwn does come in level 2, but doesn't have the Mega Gnar, and he's so squishy, and now mid, Emo flashes away, and he's fine, but big whoopsie on the bottom side.
I mean, it's huge, and also, as you're saying, not only you're not pushing to kind of get that faster XP, but also because you slow push, Kiaya, after the dive, goes top and he collects almost the entire wave. There's like 2 full waves up there for him to collect, so he gets a kill, and he's going to be able to get the additional experience off this. The TP comes through here pretty late. Alvaro tries to flash forward and root in the Braum to be able to get a kill with the tower, but with the E up, he's able to survive. And then, yes, Levi is low, but Kiaya is full, EasyLove is full, so they can just juggle the aggro here. Kiaya is just going to pull threat with that auto, step out, and they're able to easy pile in here, grab a couple kills. Kiaya gets the farm on top side, so not only kill and assist, but he is up, a good wave and a half already.
Absolute disaster for MDK in the bottom lane. In the lane swap that they initiated, now everything seems to be going back to where you would expect it to be. But GAM with a 1,500 gold lead here early with this composition that we pretty much said needs to be ahead early because it feels so much less cohesive than what MDK has drafted. It's exactly what GAM needed.
But especially because Kiaya now just kind of gets to bully out in that top side of the map. Already has the Amplifying Tome advantage, but he's going to have the range advantage too, level advantage. He continuously pushes in, gets turret plates. He becomes a massive threat on the side lane. As long as Myrwn is in this mini Gnar form, you can see how aggressive Kiaya just gets to play up. And that's going to open up so many opportunities for GAM, not only in just that lane, but being able to transition Kiaya around the map, being able to look and fish for these roams off of side lanes for that big ultimate that we were talking about for Kiaya.
Levi popping the Scryer plant there to see Elyoya, who is trying to make sure that Myrwn doesn't get dove here. I mean, with this wave crashing into the turret, if Myrwn would have got dove, that's just kind of the end of the game for him. So you got to make sure you're shadowing that. Got to make sure you're keeping the guy protected. Alvaro.
Oh, he missed.
Oh, he missed the dredge line onto the terrain. Alvaro does not have flash either. He already used it in the bottom lane. Dive.
That's what is going on. We started off this series so incredibly well for MDK, but it's gone from disaster to disaster this entire game long.
Yeah, I mean, that is rough. He's just straight up missed the wall. Wasn't even close to the wall, to be honest. He was trying to go for that max range hook where you just lollipop onto the wall and really pull away, but I don't even think he had to. Any sort of decent hook, and I think he's probably going to be able to at the very least force flashes to be able to chase in and get that kill.
It's also, you don't really lollipop when you're hooking, or lollipop, sorry, when you hook onto the walls. It's the center, if you have the animation up, it's basically the straight line in the middle of the hit marker that actually attaches to the wall. It's the outside ones that attach onto the champions, so it was always going to be a pretty difficult one to go for. So, and now again, bot lane further behind, More control here for EasyLove, a 700 gold in both top and mid. Or sorry, in boss and top.
Yeah.
And now you just move over towards all these objectives that are just waiting to be picked up by
it's over 2,000 gold down at 6 minutes. Like, that is definitely crazy, and MDK definitely going to need to use every little bit of their compositional advantage. Now, this could be a good start, though, as EasyLove has an idea that something could be going on, but going to get the bad news.
Nice. Dredgeline finds him. MDK. They at least force the flash out of the AD carry for GAM, but now Elio's made his way down as well. There is no flash on this support. He is going to die again. Elio gets it. They charm up Supa, but he's ready to try to get away. Fresskowy's joined the fight, and he goes in for the Fade Seal. They get one back. MDK is on the board. Makes it an even trade.
And GAM still coming out, though, on top, because look at top lane. Myrwn about to fall. Levi's going to finish him off. Myrwn
with the flash out, man. You're dead to rights.
And you can look at Kiaya in the player cam. This man is very happy. Levi is very happy. And I think for GAM, this is exactly what we're talking about. You can never underestimate the VCS coming into these international tournaments. Top Esports paid the price, Fnatic paid the price, and now it might be MDK paying that one as well.
Yeah, they've dug themselves a pretty big hole, and they're going to have to dig out of it. I do think a smart lane assignments here from GAM as Emo pushes out bot, while EasyLove runs back towards mid to catch that wave. So not missing a beat on the map. They've got nearly 3 plates down in the bot side. They got 2 plates top. They redove Myrwn, got his flash, and it's 15 CS on the Gnar at 7.5 minutes into the game.
Levi, along with getting that kill up in the top lane, also got 3 grubs, and this gold lead is about the gold lead that we saw last game, post 30 minutes after the Baron was taken.
The support has 500 gold advantage. Like, everything is just going wrong for MDK right now.
But Alvaro has more CS.
Got him.
Plus 3.
Yeah. 4. 4. We got one. Yeah.
There it is. All right, MDK has got to try to stabilize. I normally say you want to staunch the bleeding, but they're walking around with one leg at this point. We need a tourniquet, boys.
Got to reattach the leg.
Yeah, that we got to do something because MDK's early game has gone about as poorly as it could possibly go, and GAM are capitalizing. Kiaya now getting jumped on by Myrwn, who does have the Mega Gnar. The weirding, though, going to force him back. Levi can't get in there just yet. Myrwn still getting away for now. Levi not having the range there on the Paranoia. Ends up being the saving grace for Myrwn, who can make it back to the tier 1 turret.
Still a good ulti from Levi because it actually pushes Myrwn back, because I think he could have potentially had that solo kill in this position. And now Elyoya has to cover. The ulti is coming back up here for Kiaya, but they're not looking for this dive. So Myrwn, good bit of pressure. He forces out the Nocturne ulti. These are the little things you need to constantly do this game. Chip away at the advantage that GAM has. Stay calm. Don't allow the lead to extend. Just try to keep it at this point. Yes, 3K is a big lead, but if it's 3K at 20 minutes, that's totally playable. That's a situation where you can show up to a team fight and just out-execute. So they just need to make sure, you know what? We made some mistakes in the early game. Let's calm down, take a deep breath, play for the waves, play for vision. Don't allow GAM to get more advantages.
Closest lane comparison right now is in mid. Fresskowy doing a good job, just pretty much staying neck and neck with this enemy mid laner, with his Yone. 5-1 overall the score for GAM. Kills spread out pretty evenly, quite honestly. The only one without a kill being Emo in the mid lane. Doubled up there for EasyLove. 4 out of 5 kill participation on him. Does feel pretty bad for the side of MDK, but Kalista not one of those hyper-scaling AD carries, so it means that GAM, like you're already talking about, Isaac, is going to need to keep the pressure on and utilize the early power of this champion.
And I think that's where they want to try and just move in towards this mid lane, get push for Emo so we can start to roam alongside Levi, because then you open up for potential dives down towards Supa, or at least forcing him off of towers, looking at dragon takes as well.
Yeah.
And just playing off the fact that Ahri has so much control over this lane against the Yone.
And they need to play for every single objective, right? You need to say, okay, MDK, you don't want to fight us now? Guess what? We take every neutral on the map. We play for 6 scrubs. We stack dragons. We threaten soul. And we try to put you in a position where you can't just AFK farm until you're in a good spot with your comp, and you can then try to fight.
And that's why I think the fact that the resets have already come through for MDK are pretty clutch. 15 seconds until the next Void Groves. First item completion for Elyoya. But maybe they can try and find something back here, but already Myrwn on this bottom half of the map, they're starting to push out a little bit, but all 5 members of GAM are in position.
I mean, GAM have a big advantage, but they have 0 completed items, so the gold is not as big of a deal as it would be.
Exactly. That's the power of playing a tank jungler. You can buy these lower price point support items. You can get something like Convergence, and even though Levi's ahead, he hasn't been able to put it together.
Kiaya hasn't reset. He's been hiding off of vision this entire time, looking for the Kaisa on the backside.
Alvaro gets charmed up, going to take a little bit of damage here from Emo and Elio. Fourth grub already secured by GAM. Elyoya and Alvaro still thinking about maybe making their entry into the top side river. Fifth grub goes over to GAM. Smite still available for Levi. Smites that one down. All 6 grubs, no fight from MDK.
Yeah, at the very least, they didn't fully overcommit because Myrwn was getting plates in bot side. He got the push in. You know, he's closed that CS gap quite a bit. You know, he was down 15 CS, you know, only a couple minutes ago. So he's actually getting some farm. You know, he's closing that gold lead a little bit. Yes, they couldn't get in to actually stop any of the grubs, but I do think MDK didn't overcommit because that would have been really tragic if they just sent all 5 members there and couldn't get anything.
And I think that's why it was good positioning from Kiaya, not resetting, keeping pressure on towards Supa, so Supa couldn't really enter the fight. And from that position, Fresskowy still had to control the mid wave, and I think that's why now having this 6 void grubs is going to work out brilliantly for GAM. They're going to have the pressure from Emo, who can continue to push, chip away at turrets using that burn and that buff, and same for Kiaya, who, look, even though Myrwn still got a bit of gold, it's still a 1.3k gold lead. Yeah. It's still huge.
Yeah. Fresskowy being smart here, was walking forward, seeing if there's an angle for a plate. You can use the soul inbound for that, of course, but Elio up towards top side, going to help Emo get a reset here, who should be sitting on a lot of gold, honestly. Yeah, he's sitting on 1,700 gold at this point in pocket on the Ahri, so once to help him get this reset, is going to be able to do just that. And Kiaya, you can see that he's going to be trailed by Levi down on this bottom side, so they are going to look to continue attacking Myrwn, who has been chunked out a little bit, and Mega is nowhere in sight, so if he does overextend, it definitely could be an easy kill there.
Okay, so we're talking about MDK needing to stop the game from continuing to snowball against them, and for the past few minutes, it seems like they're doing an okay job at it. The gold lead that peaked at around 3K is still at 2.7 or so, but it's not like it's growing. The clock keeps marching forward. Yes, you're down 6 grubs, but the gold's not bleeding.
But that's why I think MDK are playing so heavily down towards this bottom side. It's if you get a pick on Kiaya, you get the crash that wave, you get your resets, mid until the Rift Herald, you're in a great position then on the map as they have to catch up, but MDK swing and a miss on the ultimate from Elyoya. They just want to try and keep these plays up while they have that timing window.
Yeah, and I think what they were trying to do was similar to what they did in the first game. You know, even if you don't get a kill there, you're hoping you force cleanse, you're hoping you force flash, but Elyoya might have to flash himself. No, he's going to be okay. They didn't continue the trace. But, you know, I don't think we've seen a single Void Grub spawn until just now, as Kiaya is going to be able to actually get towards that bottom side. They hadn't been able to get access to the towers, but now with Kiaya hitting that bot lane tower, they showed mid. So now this tower is pretty much just gone. Levi's in the area. It's going to be very tough for Myrwn to defend this.
And that's why I think GAM, yes, they could move up towards the Rift Herald, but the fact that you've got TP on Myrwn still, maybe putting a little bit of anxiety in their step, as they don't want to fully play into a 4v5 with the TP advantage for MDK. But I think for GAM, you're happy as long as you can keep the wave shoved in.
Oh, nice use of the Glacial Fissure there, but it ain't going to be enough. MDK in the 2v2 getting a kill for themselves, finally striking back against GAM. But all the meanwhile, bottom lane, they get that tier 1 turret for Kiaya.
Yeah, Elio has been really haphazard with his Braum shields. Like, he's been jumping in and just denying Qs for last hits on minions and things like this. And in this situation, it was a great buffers. We're going to see Supa.
Oh, EasyLove! He's taking down Supa! Flexing those muscles, stepping up when he absolutely needs to, getting another kill for MDK.
Big step up for the MDK bot lane. First the kill, and then Supa seeing his moment to get that pick. Desperate gold needed for MDK and some control on the map as well, but GAM back out onto it, looking at this Rift Herald.
All right, Alvaro getting back away here as Elyoya secures the next blue buff for himself. Elio and Levi both continuing to move forward, sit down some vision a little bit, now rotate back over to the mid lane to take out this tier 1 turret. Remember, the plates are gone. A Demolish proc's gonna do some good damage. Elyoya scoots in just in time to try to keep the turret protected, but the burn will take it anyway. Now Paranoia's popped off, and it looks like Alvaro could be in some trouble. The Fear Tether procs, they're trying to save him with the Glacial Prison, but it won't matter. Kiaya gets the kill on Alvaro, and now with a 5v4 and Rift Herald alive, it's control over the top side of the map for GAM.
There's
no,
pick, though.
Kiaya going between worlds. Supa gets caught for a second. The weirding still hits him. A little bit more damage is all it takes, and Kiaya gets the kill. Nearly dies, but close ain't good enough. EasyLove getting away from Myrwn in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, the 2v2, 3v2 back in the mid lane. Fresskowy trying to reset his position. The Fate Sealed ain't gonna work. He goes unstoppable, but does he have the damage? No, he doesn't. It's more kills for GAM. It's more tragedy for MDK.
GAM coming up massive in these fights here. First a pick on Alvaro, but then MDK decides they want to try to get something back. They're looking for these scraps when they're not in the position to do so, and they lose so much more, erasing all the good work from their bot lane there in that mid lane 2v2. where, you know, EasyLove could have just ulted his Braum to safety, didn't do it, they get a kill there, then he oversteps, Supa gets a great solo kill on him, but they have got to be cognizant of their spot in this game. This got really close because the twofold Hex, that Q, first one missed, so Supa almost able to do it, but then the TP in to try to get something more from Fresskowy is just way too far.
And you've got so many members of GAM that are just able to collapse. Supa can't really be a part of this, so for him, the Aurora can't really be a part of this, but there's still enough members there on GAM to just finish them off, and you can see the frustration in the back. Yeah. And the whole start of this was bizarre from MDK as well, because the call was already there. Hey, we're going to take bot lane turret and give Rift Herald. But Alvaro takes a step too far forward. He gets caught. Then Supa overextends on the mid wave as well. It's just these small errors that are being punished by GAM extraordinarily well.
Okay, so for MDK, they have finally claimed their first neutral objective of the game. They did get the Rift Herald. It is traded away for the second Drake going into the possession of GAM. They're up 2-0 on those, 6-0 on the Void Grubs, 8-3 in kills, 2-1 in turrets, 4,000 gold lead. It's just about 17 minutes into the game. How are we feeling about, is this enough for GAM when we were talking about MDK needing to slow things down and scale?
Honestly, I think it's more than enough for now. You know, you're a 4,000 gold lead here. You have 6 grubs, you have 2 dragons. You're about to extend that gold lead even more. So I feel like compositional advantages don't really matter at all with this sort of a lead. So MDK are going to have to find some way to slow the pace of this game. Thankfully for them, it's Chemtech Soul, which is largely really useless for a lot of the champs on the GAM side. So that is a little bit of a feather in the cap there. You know, Aurora, Ahri, they're going to get like 0 from that almost. But that being said, a soul is still a soul and is combat power. But MDK got to be really happy that's not like, you know, a Hex Tech or something like that.
And the fact that GAM do have a very squishy lineup can still play a factor if MDK can find a pick or GAM overextend, because I think that's the way that they really get back into this game. Like the wave and the push is still in favor of GAM because they have multiple of these range carries, but if you overextend, like here for example, if Elyoya could find a big ultimate on towards EasyLove, suddenly that slows that pace down and buys that time you need.
All right, Rift Herald summoned up in the mid lane. MDK trying to make a play for the tier 1 turret. Myrwn with a flash out, does not want to be caught there with the last hit. The winner's bite as Emo and Levi jump in, but Levi might just get punished. A beautiful Glacial Fissure trying to keep the jungler alive. Levi barely surviving, a little bit more damage from the Glacial Prison. Just might kill him off, but Kiaya is already on a rampage. Fresskowy is down. Levi and Elio going to be traded, though, as now it's dead bodies on both sides. 3 dead for MDK. It's about to be 4. Myrwn wants to fight back, but a little bit more damage as the spears start flying and the lions start dying. It's a triple for the Aurora, for Kiaya, for GAM.
The GAM shots are flying and they are finding their mark. MDK thought they could push in onto that mid lane turret, but GAM immediately saw their chance. The TP from Emo, the flight in from Levi, even Kiaya getting access to Fresskowy in that back line. It was a wonderful setup for GAM.
Yeah, and it's all about this initial engage. Fresskowy, I think, was trying to find some sort of an angle for a flank, but he's way too far up, so he has to use a Fated Seal just to run. Then the Soul Unbound is used in a spot where you're kind of guaranteed to never get away. So you're using all your tools there as the Yone to be able to get really nothing. So it became so difficult for MDK. There's obviously the focus on Supa. The rest of the members burst him down. Kiaya finishes off Fresskowy. Myrwn, who had to flash earlier when the Herald crashed, has no way out. And this is just massive for GAM, feeling so good about their spot in the game now. And you can see a little bit of relief now on the coaches' faces as they're starting to look a little bit stressed, less stressed.
Yeah, but then the camera shot immediately after, you can see the stress, you can see the pressure setting in for MDK. Things are getting further and further out of their control now with over a 5,500 gold lead for GAM.
I mean, just look at the items. You're comparing the top lane items here on both sides. You're comparing the mid lane items on both sides. The gap is massive. Supa is still strong, but it's the soul laners that are going to be such an issue here between these two squads.
Hold on now. He tries to get away, but Myrwn is still caught. The fear tether still finds its mark, and a Glacial Fissure looking for 2 more. As GAM are not yet done. A charm immediately forcing out the cleanse from Supa. GAM will not get an additional kill on top of the pick they find on Myrwn, but they force out some summoners. They force MDK back out of their own side of the blue jungle.
And when their tournament lives are on the line, you're seeing that experience, that veterancy on this world stage step up for GAM. Kiaya doing amazing, Levi following up so well. They're picking off these members of MDK who now have to try and find some sort of success here in this game, but GAM are butchering them where they stand.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you can see Fresskowy was pushing through bot side, doesn't have the confidence to stay around and try to actually finish off that tower. And now they're looking for Supa, who has no cleanse.
All right, that was a little out of control there for GAM. They're way committing to try to find the kill on Supa. Instead, Elio now going to be punished. He'll be killed off. Elyoya's down to 100 HP, but he ain't dead yet. EasyLove trying to get back away from Fresskowy. He goes in for the fade sealed. He goes too far. The turret shot will not be enough to kill him. A beautiful shutdown coming out from Myrwn. EasyLove's looking to grab one back. Myrwn at 100 HP. Kiaya has made his way into the fight now as Alvaro tries to lock down EasyLove. Supa's been killed by EasyLove. Just when it looked like MDK might have got something, it ends up trading even.
And hasn't that been the story this game? Every time MDK try and set up, there's a brick wall in GAM waiting for them, saying you will not go further. This is the end for you. And GAM turn over towards a dragon as just another cherry on top.
It's a good little punish on the initial play, though, as Elio was kind of going too far. They're overextending, trying to take off Supa, and MDK have to look for these small moments. Supa has been so big for the team. They nail this ultimate here onto Levi. They put a lot of pressure on him. They get the kill on the Braum. But it's just the goal difference in action here. As MDK push forward, they're trying to put this pressure here onto EasyLove. Kiaya is zoned out. Levi's not really a part of the play. It's only the flash that keeps EasyLove alive. And all of this focus here onto Emo buys EasyLove the time to try to turn it around and to set up for the re-engage here from Kiaya.
If that boomerang had landed, maybe that's something, but GAM still coming out on top. And now with the setup available, it's Dragon Soul available to them for 4.5 minutes. The push on sides, the Baron still sitting there, and MDK just keep getting picked apart.
A tale of 280 carries in the team fight damage right there. 4,000 from Supa, 6,000 from EasyLove. And I feel like when you look at the scoreboard itself, MDK's only chance is this marksman. It is this player that you're talking about, was what they were focusing on back during their wins in play-ins. If Supa can't do it, nobody can. Alvaro now might be caught out as GAM again hard forced their way into the jungle of MDK for yet another kill on Alvaro.
Well, this is so problematic because they spent nothing to get that kill, so now they're going to be able to start the Baron. They still have all their tools to turn here. Aurora ult is available, so is Nocturne ult, so is Ahri ult.
Myrwn has the Gnar bar. He's ready to go in. Everybody is stuck in the pit. GAM going across worlds to try to find their way into the fight now, but Elio's already almost dead. Levi jumping into the back, looking to kill Supa, but he ain't going to find enough damage here just yet. Myrwn's still taking a ton as EasyLove goes on a rampage. Now Elyoya is going to try to get away, but Levi's ready to flash over the wall to slow him down. The fear is here. Goodbye, Sejuani. Another kill for EasyLove. GAM don't lose a single man. Alvaro's back alive, but all 5 GAM players are still here. They are still in the topside river, and they are still looking at Baron.
And that's the thing. GAM get pushed off, but they just go right back to it after the kills. Alvaro, hook goes wide. Supa trying to come in. Fresskowy, no ultimates.
Emo running interference. Baron down to about 4,000. They've also got a Kalista. It should be an easy secure. It's going to be secured by Levi. But what about the fight? Fresskowy's got the chance to go huge here, but he ain't going to find it. Another death for Alvaro. Everybody on GAM still alive, and Baron in their possession.
And GAM have all the tools they need now to close out this series, to keep their world's dream alive here. Nearly 10,000 gold ahead. Here was the initial turn. Good job by Supa surviving against Levi and Emo, but it just doesn't matter because there's not enough damage in the tank on the other side. Fresskowy, it's really all up to him in this spot, but he just couldn't find the angle, couldn't find the opportunity to get in there and really turn something around on GAM.
Yeah, and I think shout out to Supa. He is doing his damnedest this game to try and claw this back. He is having the best game he possibly can, but GAM just will not let up. Again, this Nocturne threat, catching out Alvaro, consistently playing off this Aurora. And it's a very similar comp that we saw from Gen G, and I wasn't sure GAM would be able to find the success with this, but they've been playing so well around this early lead that they managed to gain.
I mean, just how damn good is Kiaya? This guy has really been impressing me. You know, I do think sometimes when you come to these leagues that have the smaller regions, right, you know, people are just overlooking these players and saying, oh, he's good, but he's probably good for that league. Kiaya is just straight good. This guy is incredible. He's playing at an enormously high level, and you can see that win probability powered by AWS. That is... it's just a hair's breadth away from 100%.
Yeah. I saw you squinting, Dagger, trying to see how
he's
much.
Looking, he's like, so you're telling me there's a chance?
Who's got the microscope? Let me double check.
Well, we'll see if MDK can find that slim opportunity.
Gentlemen, we've got a 7-0-8 Aurora. We've got a 7-2-7 Kalista on the side of GAM. We've still got 80 seconds left on the Baron. plus 2,000 gold on that already. And the Soul will spawn right before the Baron dissipates. So GAM should have total control over Summoner's Rift for the entirety of the timer leading up to it. They're shoving down the bottom lane now. They're pushing towards the tier 3 turret in the bottom lane.
They're just going to give it. Myrwn's not coming.
Yeah, Myrwn not there. He's just trying to get something back at the tier 2. Fresskowy going in for an ulti. The turret's probably going to die before the TP even completes. They're going between worlds. Levi diving into the back. If they find Supa, the game's going to be over right there. And immediately, Emo jumps in. EasyLove is dominating. 3 dead on MDK. The final fight will not even be one. GAM just run them over. The TP to guarantee the minions stay alive. Myrwn and Elyoya will try as valiantly as they might to defend, but the turrets are already gone. Vietnam still has some fight left in them, and they will eliminate MDK from Worlds 2024.
And what a story here for the GAM team, qualifying for the Swiss stage, taking down MDK in a best of 3. This is massive in Levi's final Worlds.
The major region assassins always come to play. It's another head on a pike for them, and they are looking at several more as this tournament goes on.
An impressive showing from GAM to bounce back after that first game. The desk is standing by. Tell us what y'all think of that series.
It's crushing for the side. It's crushing for the side of Mad Lions Koi and Elyoya after having to fight up against no one believing them for the entire year. They showed them wrong, but eventually it wasn't enough to beat the might that was Kiaya and Levi and GAM in this series. After what was a promising start, and the mental went kind of back and forth, but a couple of key picks, a couple of key moves, and we've said it so many times, Kobe, but that top side of GAM is no joke.
Kiaya was magnificent. They got the Aurora. They even gave away Yone, and in the face of the stats, they took him down. Honestly, as well, we were recommending lane swapping to Mad Lions as a means of actually putting Kiaya behind, but they were so late on their teleport from Myrwn on the bottom side that actually just fed 2 kills, and GAM blasted them in their own lane swap to get further ahead.
I'm stunned, but maybe I shouldn't be.
No, I mean...
Because GAM was the best team in play-ins. They made it through 4-0. Last year, they did this to the number 3 seed NA team in Team Liquid, and then this year, they just did it to Mad Lions. So I know people are going to say, like, classic Mad Lions, blah, blah, blah. But it's also like classic GAM.
Yeah.
They do this more often than they don't.
I think the classic Mad Lions card is unfair, just like we said we weren't going to bring up 100 Thieves, but just like I thought it was unfair
we weren't going to bring up 100
that
Thieves.
to about like 4 rookies and 1 more veteran player, right? I think that is unfair. I think they can be proud of how far they got, but in the context of this series, I think they should be very frustrated because they know that they could play better than what they've shown in Game 2 and 3, but at the end of the day, it was GAM, and Kiaya is our Oppo player of the series because held his own also in Game 2 and was destructive in Game 3.
Because Kiaya is really good. His Aurora is undefeated. He won with it twice in play-ins. He was an absolute force this game. In Game 2, his Kennen was pretty unstoppable. Even in their loss earlier in Swiss to Fnatic, his Jax was an absolute menace to deal with and almost carried them to victory. So Kiaya has been, as much as we want to talk about Levi as the leader for this team, Kiaya has been the closer for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, this series, it took a lot from all of the members of GAM. I was really happy to see them step up, especially EasyLove on the Kalista in the mid fight. Really, really impressive.
Really impressive indeed, and we talked about how for GAM and their region, it is so incredibly important for them to get this win and to continue showing up, and we're heading over to the Verizon post-game interview with Levi.
GAM advances to the next stage and save their Worlds run, and I have Levi and Koa with me to talk about this amazing series. First things first, congratulations, that was unexpected given the first game. Talk me through the evolution of the series for the first game that Mad Lions won into your recovery. What changed for you guys to keep the victory?
Ở game đầu thì Mad Lions sẽ có một cái chiến thắng áp đảo á. Làm sao để mà em và đồng đội của mình có thể lật ngược thế cờ như vậy?
Mình nghĩ là tụi mình đã cười nhiều hơn ở game đầu thứ hai.
We had a lot more laughter compared to the first one.
All right. Well, a lot of confidence, a lot of laughter, and I think that when I think about VCS, when I think about GAM Esports, the first thing that comes to my mind is the crazy picks that you guys bring, the craziness even in game, but it feels like this version of GAM Esports is way more refined and focused on the macro side of the game. Can you talk me through the evolution of the team from when we saw you guys at MSI and making it at Worlds? What has been the main focuses for you to get better?
Thì khi mà người ta nhắc tới GAM á, thì người ta sẽ nhớ tới những cái lối đánh nó máu lửa và nó đánh nhau liên tục hơn. Nhưng mà ở trong cái lần chung cái thế giới này á, thì tụi em đã có một cái lối đánh nó được gọi là mài dũa hơn khá là nhiều. Thì từ sau MSI cho đến hiện tại thì team và em đã có những thay đổi gì?
Mình luôn chia sẻ là team mình luôn nỗ lực cố gắng để phát triển. Và như mình đã nói thì vì team mình nỗ lực cố gắng cho nên team mình đã đánh hay hơn.
I've always said that our team is the one that always tries nonstop, and if we keep on trying, then we'll be playing better.
You were just telling me about the fact that you guys started laughing, started having fun, and this is what was the turning point for you guys in the series. Tell me more about the mood and the relationship you have with your teammates.
Em có thể kể thêm về cái mood với lại cái mối quan hệ giữa em với những người đồng đội của mình không?
Lúc lên sân khấu thì em có nói với Imo là khi mà mình ở dưới sân khấu và mình nhìn với những đội tâm lý thi đấu thì nhìn gương mặt họ mình có thể thấy là game này họ sẽ thua. Và em nói với Imo là chắc em không muốn mọi người nghĩ em như thế đâu nhỉ. Thế nên là kiểu mình phải đổi trạng thái để cười nhiều hơn để mình sẽ có thêm tự tin khi thi đấu.
Before we went on the stage, I told Imo about how we as a viewer can look on the stage at the face of their players and tell if they are scared or pressured, and if they would not be having a good game. And I told Imo that you don't want to be like this. Okay, is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that right? And then I wanted him to change the mood.
That is amazing. And you guys managed to change the mood and grab the victory. But Levi, I know that you still have a lot of international fans who are really, really happy to see you at Worlds. Do you have a message for them in English?
Thank you guys so much. And I think no matter who we play next match, we're going to play with a lot of confidence, I think.
Cannot wait to see that confidence. Thank you so much for the interview, Koa. Thank you so much for the translation, as always. That's all for us here on this side of the stage. We're going to be right back in a few minutes with the second game of the day, Pain Gaming versus Team Liquid. Stay tuned.
Red Bull gives you wings.